Welcome back to the Lock Road Chronicles. My name is Larissa, and today we are going to be discussing all the books that I read in May. In May, I read 5 books, which is fantastic. Like I say, my goal is to read 4 books a month, and that's fine with me. That's a book a week. And so, very happy with 5. To start, I'm so excited, was a few weeks ago I did a reading blog about Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and I love this book. It is so great. It's about Nora, who is stereotyped herself as the evil girlfriend in like a Hallmark movie, essentially that trope. And Charlie, who is also a grumpy book editor. Nora is a book agent. So they run into each other quite often in their careers. And Nora and her sister are taking a vacation, which Nora hasn't done in 10 years because she just loves to work. She loves being in New York City and just on the go, girl on the go. And Libby, her sister, convinces her to take a vacation. And even in this vacation, she is still working her booty off. I love that they're kind of like the grumpy trope. I absolutely adore that. They're both so witty, so quick, sarcastic, and just so cute. I wish there would have been a little bit more steam, like little steamy scenes. They were pretty mild, which compared with Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation, which those were pretty mild to the smut I'm used to reading too. But I've heard so many people say that Emily Henry is really great middle ground for romance in contemporary fiction. Literary fiction? Either way, she's very much a middle ground gal there, which is fantastic. And one of the podcasts that I listened to when People We Meet on Vacation was more recent. She describes her romance novels for people who don't normally read romance, and I feel like that is very much her dynamic. I love this so much. I really want to reread all 3 of her most recent and popular ones and just kind of refresh, and I love them so much, and I want to go back because I feel like I missed so many little snippets, because there's some nods to her other novels in this book too, and I know she's done that previously as well. I just want to catch those, and I also would love to tab this because there's one tab because I forgot I had tabs, and I was just so engrossed in the story, and I just want to annotate this up because wow, absolutely loved it. The next book that I read was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is a YA fantasy, and it's about Evangeline Fox and Jack, who is the Prince of Hearts. And Evangeline makes a deal with Jack to stop her stepsister from marrying the love of her life, who, that's debatable, but and then a whole bunch of things spiral out from there. She gets turned into a statue, and it kind of blossoms from there. I liked it. Again, it's YA. I don't really trend towards YA as much anymore, and I feel like I would have been completely obsessed with this book if I was still in high school. So I really did enjoy it still, and I am excited to read the next in the series when that comes out. Also, I love this cover with my whole heart. Did I buy this book specifically for this cover? Yes. Otherwise, I could have rented it from the library. But I absolutely love this cover, and I hope the sequel follows suit with this. I ended up getting this off of Book Depository because the ones that are available in the United States, it's like a weird design. I'll throw it up there. But all my mind can think of, it looks like some calcium deposits that are in the body, or even like kind of like a fatty tumor or something. I can't unsee it, and it kind of grosses me out. So hopefully there's another cover that comes out very similar to this one. My favorite would have been the Fairy Loot edition, or is it the Fairy Loot? The pink one. That's the one I really, really wanted. I'll throw that up on the screen too. And this one's also beautiful. Next up, I'm so excited. I hopped on the bandwagon of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and I am on the bandwagon. I love this book. As soon as I finished, I had to leave a review on my Instagram, so if you're not following me, that's where you get real-time updates as to what I'm reading and my immediate thoughts. Very much, I feel like it's a combination of Beauty and the Beast retelling with the Hunger Games, with, oh gosh, fairies. Yeah. So, Beauty and the Beast, Hunger Games, and fairies. Plus it's like more new adult fantasy. What more could you want from this? I absolutely loved it. So many thoughts that I don't want to talk about because I don't want to spoil it for anybody that is wanting to read this, because I like to go into books blind as much as possible. That is hard to do with this book because it's everywhere. It is everywhere. This came out in like what, 2015 or something, and it is still blowing up. So I am so pumped to continue on with this series and see what Feyre gets up to, and what the sitch is with Tamlin and Rhysand. Is it Rhys? Rhysand? I'm just gonna call him Rhys. And any other of the characters, her sisters, I feel like, come around. I don't know. I haven't looked at anything else, but I know this was really, I loved this book, and I know this isn't even everyone's favorite one. So I'm pumped to continue on with the next books. The next two are so chunky, and the fourth book is so small. I don't have the fifth book because it's not out in paperback yet, and I will not do that to myself. So I have to wait for that one, I think until August or September, sometime this year. But yes, I'm on the bandwagon, and I totally understand why everybody else has been on the bandwagon for as long as they have been with this series. So excited. The next book that I read was an audiobook called Open by Andre Agassi, and it is a tennis autobiography. And I know zero things about tennis. Zero things. I really enjoyed listening to this, and I love that Andre's whole thing, he brings it up all the time, is how much he hates tennis. This is a professional tennis player who's been playing since childhood, and he's hated the sport since he started playing. And he is not shy about speaking up and saying that multiple times, at least in his head. It's kind of about his growth through tennis, what he's gone through as far as just maturing and finding himself and coming to terms with being a tennis player who doesn't like tennis. This isn't really a spoiler alert, but he was married to Brooke Shields. I mean, they only lasted a couple years, and now he's married to Steffi, but who is amazing. Also a tennis player, which is fantastic, but I just watched a movie with her last year, and it's like, oh yeah, I always forget that she exists, but once she's there, she's there. He's a really good tennis player, and he was really big in the 90s, early 2000s, and he was one of the oldest tennis players that has been going through, because most retire at like in their 20s, mid-20s, and he pushed it out till I think 35 or so, which is crazy. It's crazy. And it just kind of goes through all his chronic pain and the wear and tear on his body, and finding people to have close to him and to make a team, and highly enjoyed that. It was also interesting on his education background. So that's all I'll say about that. Like I said, I listened to the audiobook and it was absolutely fantastic. One of my friends read the book and they liked it too. So, but I really liked the narrator. Thought he did a great job. Next up is As Old as Time by Liz Braswell. It's a Twisted Tale series. And as I said, when I thrifted this book or got it off Thrift Books, I didn't realize it didn't have the dust jacket, and I'm so upset about it. However, I do really like the spine. It would be really cool to get either all of them. All of them. I have 2 of the Twisted Tale series right now. I would like to get different dust jackets for them, make them a little bit more, I don't know, zazzy, but yeah. So I was kind of bummed that this didn't have the dust jacket. However, I didn't really like the cover for it anyway, so I do like that embossing on the side, which is really nice and will look really good on my shelf. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, reimagining, so there was kind of a theme this month. And the reimagining was, what if Belle's mom cursed the beast? And I highly enjoyed this. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's a dual timeline between the original story, for the most part, of Belle, and then flashbacks to Maurice and Belle's mom, Rosalind, who is a Le Charmante, or like kind of witch vibes. So it leads up to her disappearance, or like why she left and why she cursed the beast and everything that happened. It's going back and trying to piece things together. I thought it did a really great job demonstrating people's ignorance and racism against other classes, other ethnicities, other. So I thought that was great, except it used like more magic creatures to demonstrate that, which was very well thought out. Also, the Spanish flu or some sort of plague was breaking out in this story too. So they talk about quarantine for a hot second, and I was like, when was this written? Was this written recently? Because there's too many similarities on the beginning of the pandemic here, which this was written or published in 2016, so that's pretty creepy. Also, speaking of creepy, this is a YA. There was some creepy vibes. It was very dark. It was very twisted, and also there was a random damn it throwing in, and I was like, what? It was just like, you could have said any other word. This is a YA and you want to make it like new adult YA. I don't know. It was so random. It didn't fit the story. I feel like that was the case in Tangled as well. It was just randomly thrown in curse words, and I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be like, I don't know, more appropriate. It's based off of a classic Disney story, and you're gonna throw in some, I don't know. I have feelings about that apparently. I really liked the ending, but I was trying to figure out what happened. So pretty much some magic could be used for one scenario or the second scenario. And I felt like the second scenario needed a lot more magic compared with the first, but it could only be one or the other. Couldn't do both in any capacity. So that was strange. We'll say that. I really did enjoy it. It was a nice little tale. It read really fast. I also partially listened to the audiobook, which moved it along, and I liked the narrator. It was very good. So also I wanted to follow up with a Feast for Crows, which I did finish last reading month when that video went up, but when I was talking about it I was very starting into it, and I didn't really like this one at all, actually. I wasn't aware that it was all of the based on like the southern half or King's Landing in that kind of area. So we didn't get Jon Snow or Daenerys or Bran or really any of my favorite characters besides, it did have, I was so happy. This is like, it had Arya in it, which I was so excited about. And it also had Podrick and Bree, which those two are my two favorite side characters. So it had them in there, which I was so excited about. Also, that ending in book 3, and I was like, why hasn't it come into play in book 4? That's so random that they just say it and it hasn't been a cause. It made its way back in the end. So I didn't really like this one. So far, book 3 is my favorite, and from my understanding, that's a lot of people's favorite as well. I have started book 5, so that'll take me to the end of the availability of Game of Thrones, and I believe he's planning on releasing the 6th book later this year, which is great. We'll see if he does. It's been, what, 10 years or so since he's been saying that, so we'll see what happens. But I will update you on the last Game of Thrones book that I have, the 5th one, in my next reading wrap up. That's gonna do it for us today. A little bit lighter of a reading month, but I also feel like I had a few heftier books. My TBR for June is absurd. I put up the video last week. There's like 3 other books on there that I didn't include, and the likelihood of me reading them is high. So we'll see what my reading wrap up in June is gonna be, and if I stick to my TBR, which that would be pretty neat considering it's the Tuscan or Italian themed reading month, but pretty much I think all but one possibly takes place in Tuscany. So I'll have to, it'll be funny if all of them end up being in Tuscany. Not the point. Okay, well, next week I have a reading vlog, and I will be reading the Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany. So if you have read that or would like to read it prior to that video going up, or even just come back to it at some point, feel free to. I don't do any spoilers in my reading vlog, so you don't ever have to worry about that. I just give reactions and kind of my thoughts. So if you want to feel like you're reading along with a friend, that's fantastic. So I will see you next week. If you like these videos, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. Super quick, takes 2 seconds, and subscribe to my channel if you like to see my bookish content. There's plenty more. We've been doing weekly uploads, so it's free entertainment for you. Just trying to keep you happy. And remember to respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thanks. Bye.